part 2 of our special series, Reconcilable Differences. Early Show contributor Jill Brooke looks at how divorcing parents can help their kids through it.
Divorce is like a car race. You have a beginning, a finish line, and the middle. Filled with twists and turns, it's the place most likely to crash and burn.
We talk about the hazards of divorce and how to protect yourself. It's very similar to defensive driving.
For 8 years, Dr. Mark Banschick has taught divorcing couples how to navigate the middle of a divorce and keep it on track.
People that are suspicious become paranoid. People that are a little greedy become exploitative.
I know the place doesn't look like much now, but...
Remember Robin Williams as the father in Mrs. Doubtfire?
Who was the old battle axe? Your mom.
She's fine.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that.
Because pain can make people self-centered, they become less able to function.
There's a bad guy and a good guy in divorce. If a person gets divorced, they're supposed to feel like they're failures. So when you're supposed to feel like you're a failure, you've got to blame someone.
I'll have to drive here 2 additional times a week.
You got a place on the other side of the park. If you got in a place near here, it wouldn't be a problem.
It's very easy to make terrible mistakes, such as lean too much on your children, such as try to blame your husband or your wife in front of the children. We're going to play a scene shortly.
To illustrate the potential dangers, Dr. Banschick and his colleagues use the technique of role-playing. This first scene has Dawn, a divorced mother, with her daughter, Sarah.
Oh, honey, don't go yet. Sit with me a little longer.
Oh, okay. So, what's on TV?
I don't know. I can't really tell. I just don't want to be alone.
What could Dawn do better in the situation?
I think she could take better care of herself. I think adults need to take responsibility for their own needs.
She's a good person. She's hurting. It's just that adults need to go to adults for help and not to their children.
In another scene, a parent is talking on the phone while a child is in the car.
She never got it when we were together. I've always been in the middle of this kind of crap. I can't stand it anymore. She never really appreciated me, and here it is again. I'm living the same thing in my divorce as I lived when I was married.
We asked parents who took the course how this new way of thinking changed their behavior.
It allows you to see what the behavior, if you don't do the right thing, how it's going to affect your kid, and it's a much more dramatic picture.
Was there any time where a light bulb all of a sudden went off and you were about to do a behavior that all of a sudden you put the brakes on?
I think a very common situation, and one I experienced, was, starting to say something about the children's father that was not kind, it was negative.
I think that I benefited because I'm able to work with my ex-wife in a way that is productive for our child as opposed to destructive.
This picture was drawn by a 7-year-old. It shows what Dr. Banschick hopes to achieve for divorcing families. Divided, but united.
Parents deserve to have happiness, and I think there's a spin-off in that the children then have an opportunity to see their parent going for happiness that they'll go for it too.
And Jill Brooke is here to talk more about children and divorce. Good morning, Jill.
Hi, Julie.
All right, which parent is more likely to take a course, a class like this one?
In every divorce, there's a leaver and there's a leavee. And the person who is left, even if they knew there were problems, even if they had considered a divorce themselves, are going to suffer most through this transition. They're going to deal with abandonment issues and anger issues, and they're going to need this more and usually seek it and be really helped by it.
So if they are seeking it, how do they know where to go to even find a class like this?
It turns out that 24 states now require divorce education classes because the judges realize how important this is. And they can also find it, obviously, through their state courts, but a really great resource is the Association for Conflict Resolution, which is based in Washington, D.C.
Is it costly, and how long are these classes?
Well, how it works is they're normally between $25 and $75, and they're usually 3 segments, and they usually run about 8 hours. And what happens is, especially with the mandated classes, the parents will come in and be grumbling like, oh, I can't believe I have to go through this. Why is the judge making me do this? And then they find after the first class, I'm really learning so much. And by the 3rd class, 90% of all parents say how helpful this is, because what happens is you have a neutral party telling you that even though that the love partnership has ended, you still have a parenting partnership.